Hey everybody!
Following 50 generations of peace, the land of Rune rests on the brink of war by the instigations of Runefaust. Their latest incursion has led them to the Gate of the Ancients, the protection of which has been the responsibility of the kingdom of Guardiana for centuries. Concerned of what may happen if the gate is opened, the king sent a capable unit of rookie warriors to investigate, and drive the invaders from the gate before it's too late. They failed, but despite the Shining Force failing twice, the Rune Knight leading the operation couldn't find the key to the gate, and was thus eventually bested by the resilient heroes. Left with a foreboding message, the Guardiana forces now make their way back home. The adventure continues.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to PlayView. The name's gurvmlk and I'll be your host as we dive back into the world of Shining Force, the legacy of great intention for the Sega Genesis. As Nova informed us, we've got to hurry back to Guardiana so we can help with the situation over there because allegedly it's under attack. But the earthquake blocked the road. Head north, but be ready for battle. No one enters Guardiana while we live. For Dark Soul! Death to
Guardiana.
Death to
Guardiana.
So we've got to work our way north through the hills and forests, and as is immediately apparent with Gong, we can't move very far in this rough terrain. Just another early battle. The first one got our feet wet with the gameplay and the mechanics, taught us how everything works, and then this battle basically serves to teach us that harsh terrain sucks. And we'll be seeing a lot of it in this game, because this game really loves throwing you outdoors in massive forests and mountain ranges that you can't walk through unless you're using units that are impervious or less affected by terrain, which there will be later on. Certain jobs and races are better in certain types of terrain, and later on, we'll even get some flying units that are completely unaffected by the terrain at all, but they also don't get the land effect bonus for their defense. And I have to say, I wanted this battle to also be in the first episode, and then we were going to end off when I returned to Guardiana to save it from being attacked by the Runefaust army. But after what happened last time, I kind of was like, we need to just save it for later. But, you know, things happen, you just gotta sometimes roll with the punches. This point in the game is really where Hans shines. This one part of this battle is his crowning achievement, because he's placed so perfectly to deal with these goblins while they just run away instead of fighting, and everybody else is just bottlenecked in the foothills, unable to participate in any way. But eventually they'll catch up once we hit that wall of dwarves and goblins up there. They'll get an opportunity for everyone to gather while those guys block our progress. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Of course, the problem here is the enemies are also getting the land effect bonus, so I can't hurt them very much. Just like they can't be as effective against me. But Hans just continues to dominate. Even though I swear his arrows shoot over their head. Everybody's just getting into position. Those guys up north are setting up a blockade for us to run into. And we're just trying to make our way to that blockade. Or to anywhere, really. I'm gonna try and feed that goblin to Gong, if I can get the chance, because it's within kill range for him. And like I said in the previous episode, at this point in the game, I do like to feed kills to healers whenever possible, because I don't ever stop to grind in this game. But healers have I find healers in this game have a really tough time keeping up with levels, especially later on when their attack power isn't quite up to snuff and you need them focusing strictly on healing constantly to keep your other characters alive. Not to mention your other characters can usually handle the fighting just fine, so there's not really much of a place for the healers to be scoring hits. So I really like to get in early kills with the healers, so they don't fall too far behind. So Hans will just continue weakening the other enemies while I try to keep that one with only 2 hit points open for Gong. Another reason to try to level up the healers a bit at this point is because you see Luke there getting wailed on. At this point in the game, though, that doesn't really cost me anything because the enemies are weak. Later on, though, you don't really want to just be sitting there getting pounded while trying to wait for one specific character to score a kill just so they can get the experience points. So this is really the time to get your healers up in levels a little bit while you can, because later on, they won't really have that opportunity so much anymore. Second battle and already goblins are completely useless. They don't stay threatening for very long. Hans continues leading the charge, because that's what archers do. They lead. What kind of army doesn't put archers in the vanguard? It's just the most logical place for them, being in the front lines. Oh no, 1 damage. Uh-oh. This is a little bit more worrisome, but he'll be fine. We're almost through the hills, at least most of us are. Still waiting on Ken and Lo. They'll get their chance just like everybody else. Lo's almost through. Ken should be just about through on his next turn as well. The Dark Dwarves are starting to move in, so I'm gonna have to deal with... They're definitely more concerning than the goblins. They're still actually somewhat of a threat to some of our characters. Those guys are in position now to keep us from advancing further. A lot of good that'll do them once I get down there. Level up! Lots more magic points for Tao. That's a good thing. Don't want her running out, otherwise she becomes useless. Take out that goblin, Gong. I got a little bit of a... Uh-oh. Hang in there, Gong. Don't let him take you out. Be a man. What is with these double hits killing my guys before they're supposed to... My death count is so ridiculously high. I mean, I kind of brought that upon myself with with attacking instead of healing, but still, it just... I can't believe how many losses I've had already, and it's only the second battle. Having trouble, though, actually goes into what I wanted to say, which I actually have a little bit of a story with this battle. When I was playing with a friend, it was just a funny in-the-moment thing. We were playing cooperatively, first of all. Basically, we divided the party members amongst ourselves, and we passed the controller around. So, we were in a dire situation. Someone was gonna get killed by this Dark Dwarf if the dwarf managed to get another turn. And we weren't having much luck killing the guy, and it came down to Hans getting in there, and we needed this Dark Dwarf dead. We're like, if we don't kill this guy ASAP, he could get another turn at any moment and kill whoever it was in danger, and it might have been Max. So, whoever was controlling Hans, I believe it was me. I go to the Dark Dwarf, I attack with Hans. Oh, that is a good level up. He even got a magic point, which is useless because he never learns any new spells. And because when you run away from battle, your magic points replenish as well as everything else. he has literally no use in having more magic points. But he gets them because... why not? So back to my story. So he pulls back, he's ready to take this guy out, and just because of the urgency we need to take out this dwarf, I tell Hans to arm his dwarf slaying arrow as he's pulling back, and then we hear that lightning effect and it's like, critical hit! Dead dwarf! And we both just burst out laughing because of how perfect that was. That we needed this dwarf dead so badly that I basically just called it, and it worked. And we never beat the game, we only got to... we really didn't play for very long. We played for one session, basically, and then just never picked the game back up. But that was definitely, from what little we did, that was by far the highlight. Just Hans needing to kill this dwarf and doing so in just such a phenomenal way. It was really something else. I did that to weaken him for low, instead of using magic. Alright, Lo, take out this goblin and we can move on. Things are not going our way. We are surely the worst Shining Force ever. But, you know, sometimes things just can't work out the way you want them. And naturally, they can't when you're... whatever. Onward to our homeland to defeat the evil forces that are allegedly evil. Even though they may not be evil, they're just our enemies. So they're evil, apparently. I mean, the intro said they're evil, and I'm sure we can believe that. No reason to doubt them. Of course they have to be evil because we're the main characters. But why can't it just ever be like there's no evil side? Why can't there just be a case where neither army is evil, they're just two forces battling each other for the sake of it being a war, without any side being inherently good or bad? Fun thing about these idiots, if you shoot them from across the river, they won't engage you in battle. And I actually discovered this the very first time I ever played the game, and I feel like they kind of telegraph it, because who in their right mind would want to go in that center spot between them? Who would want to go there? You would be obliterated by these guys. And not only that, but those knights position themselves in a way where you can easily shoot them from across the water. And I feel like this is a good moment of the game where it's kind of teaching you, don't just rush in like an idiot, actually think through your actions and play it smart. And this is a good way for the game to teach you to do that by putting you in this situation where if you just rush into that center spot, you're probably going to be killed. But there's a better alternative, which is just shooting these guys from across the river and luring them to you. So they go into your trap. Except that they don't go into your trap, but I feel like the very first time I did this, my formation was very much like this. Where I tried to lure them to me, rather than falling for going to them. And just... this happened. Those knights are ripped. Look at that, his arm barely fits in the guard for his lance. Those are some manly muscles. There's a better level up. So many hit points. HP is definitely Ken's strongest suit. Lo should have enough strength to take this guy out. Get more experience for him. What?
I, Damaramu, will forever regret this.
Oh, come on. I checked the stats and I could have sworn he'd be able to do that, but... And of course the healer is the one they have to go for. Am I going to lose a second character in this battle? Can't let that happen. Really? Uh-oh. Low no! Well done, Shining Force. Now enter Guardiana and find out what's happened there. You made it back. You're a little late. We were almost overrun by Runefaust. We held them off, but we've suffered greatly, as you'll see as you wander around. Most of our knights were lost in the battle. Many homes were damaged. But we held. We'll keep watch here. Runefaust is bound to attack again, sooner or later. So now we have sad music as the town is destroyed. Let's go, inspect the damages. Praise the light that it's over. Monsters fighting, I can't take much more of this. Their commander, Cain of Runefaust, evil to the core. As a kid, I had a friend who would always talk about how, these sprites were rather, suggestive looking in nature in regards to what it looks like they're doing. We almost lost. I still don't know why they pulled back. Those beasts, I'll have nightmares forever. Yeah, because that's the worst thing that they did. Cause you nightmares. Arf arf. I sent my family away, but I stayed and fought. I'd have fought if I could, but all I am good at is buying and selling. Welcome, Max. Those vile Runefausters have made me mad. Runefausters? Okay, I guess they couldn't come up with anything better than Runefausters. Sure, game, I'll go with it. I have weapons guaranteed to knock those monsters' heads off. Take a look. Yeah, maybe if you had sold me those weapons sooner, I would have been able to return in time to save you people. Not that they have anything particularly useful. They have a hand axe, which is an upgrade for Luke. But other than that, nothing useful. I wanted to fight, but my legs were shaking so hard I got dizzy and passed out. Such a brave man. Truly, his is the kind of bravery we all aspire to achieve. Those monsters would have wrecked my shop, but the old guy drove them off. You know, that little fracas made me want to fight again. Max, I'm joining up. And we got another character to join our party. Gort. He's just another warrior like Luke, nothing really worth going into. He's the same type of character, he does the same thing. His stats and the growth of his stats are a little bit different, but he serves the same function in our party as Luke. We won, this time. But what about the next attack? Good for you, youngster. Come see me later. Right now I'm tired of all the commotion. Just let them try to come in here. I'll whap them silly. Yeah, you show 'em. Kick those soldiers' asses with the might and justice of your wooden spoon. Gotta bring people back to life. I'm actually so unaccustomed to people dying this early that I actually forgot. I talked to this guy because I was trying to think if he said anything to add to the story and to the events that happened. And then from doing that, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually have people I need to revive. Those beasts were everywhere. I keep expecting one to leap at me even now. Take care, Max. No place is safe now. Headquarters is safe. It's still nice and cheery. Hurry, Max! Kane of Runefaust has injured the king and Lord Varios! Uh-oh. Go away, Kane. I don't understand what you are talking about. Anyway, the treasure of Guardiana is in my hand now. I won't let you take that. Just leave. Sword of Darkness, show me your power! Flash the screen at him! Varios dies. No! Father! I can't believe it! Acha! Now Guardia is unworthy of my attention. Farewell, fools. Max, look at the king! Look to the king! Max! Now begins the true horror! Oh god, I got the hiccups right as I was doing that laugh. Max, May, I don't think I'll live much longer. Though Varios protected me. Listen, the Gate of the Ancients is the only access to the tower. And the gate can be opened only by the key. You must find it before it falls into the hands of evil. You should never let them open the gate. Find out why Runefaust is interested in the gate. Please, May, daughter of the great Varios. Help Max. Avenge your father, and be strong. Your Majesty! Please tell my daughter, Henri and Manarina, to stay strong for her people. ...
Cough, then fall over dead.
My god, he's dead.
Now is not the time for tears and grief. Altar 1 should be our next goal. Max, let's go find that key. I don't want to see any more of these tragedies. And then May joins the Shining Force. And just like how Gort is similar to Gort is similar to Luke, May is similar to Ken. They both serve the same function in the party, except their stat growth throughout the game will differ. I was so scared, Kane. His single glance froze me. I was so frightened. I saw this in a dream. I saw it. I'm so glad to hear that my husband's still alive. I can't believe the king is dead. How did you hear the king is dead already? It just happened 2 seconds ago. Where are you getting this information? Ooh, we can get treasures now. Hello. The treasure, they took all they could carry. Get it back, Max. And by all they could carry, he means they took this one. All the other treasure is here. Power potion, that can be used to permanently increase someone's attack power. Defense potion, same for defense. Money! An angel wing! I'm gonna sell that. That's basically, it's an item that serves the same function as the aggress spell. So if you need to retreat but it's not Max's turn, you can have somebody else take care of it. Antidote for healing poison. Medical herb for healing hit points. One of the annoying things about this game is in order to search treasure chests, you have to free up space in Max's inventory, because he's the only one that the items can be transferred to. Anybody, if you try to search a treasure chest while Max's hands are full, with each character being able to hold a maximum of 4 items, it'll just say your hands are full, you gotta make space. So you have to hand the items off to other characters. Fortunately, later games in the series fixed that by passing the items automatically. Talk to the old man in the chapel. He knows much. Perhaps he can advise you. So, it's just one of the really tedious things about this game that they fixed later on. Same with having a talk function. Later games don't have that. Blasted telescope! What good is it if I couldn't spot the Runefaust army with it? Oh, if only it had been facing in the right direction. Hello? What do you think of this view? Ha 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 ha! Ah, whose room is it now, you stupid knight? This is my room now, and I'm gonna decorate it with a whole bunch of nothing. I don't know where I was going with that, but whatever. The king is dead! Who shall lead us now with Henri far away? Hello. This guy seemed to be a pretty big know-it-all early on. Maybe he could do it. He's got the ego for it, I'm sure. Tao, good luck for me, won't you? She'll need it. Still a jerk. Will your journey take you to the town of Manarina? Probably, yeah. Then see Princess Henri. She can help you. Okay. I'll keep that in mind, lady. Should my journey ever go there? Which I'm sure it will, otherwise the town wouldn't exist. Beware of giant bats. They fly swiftly and fight fiercely. There's some useful information. The bats are a pain in the ass, so that's good to know. If it's healing and fighting you need, I'm your man. I will try my best. Let's get going, Max. Come, Max. Our vengeance cannot wait. But isn't revenge supposed to wait? Isn't it better that way? That's what they teach you in school, but I guess she never got the memo. So onward to instant revenge that we will obviously not get because it will have to drive us on our journey. Give me more stuff. I need to buy a spear for May. It's weaker than her current weapon, but it has longer range. The thing with knights is they have two types of weapons they can use, lances and spears. Lances are generally more powerful, but spears have longer attack range. Fortunately, you can swap between them in the middle of battle. Max, enemies await you on the road to Alterone. Take all precautions. And that's all the dialogue we get for this battle. Now we have to head northeast to the next town. But we have lots of enemies in our way, including bats.
Why do so many games have so many bats?
They fly, and they're obnoxious because flying enemies have inherently higher evasion, so they're more difficult to hit with your attacks. But archers bypass that, so Hans will be helpful in this battle. As will Tao, because as I said in the previous episode, magic cannot miss, so... well, except for status effects and debuffs, those can miss, but attack spells always hit their target. So that'll give us some guaranteed blows on these enemies, particularly the bats, so we won't have to worry quite so much about them dodging our attacks. I took a risk moving Luke up there, but his defenses are building up fine. Interestingly, I feel like this battle is kind of easier than the ones we've done so far, because the enemies are starting to fall a little bit behind. The Rune Knights are still a little bit of a threat to some of our characters. The bats are a threat because of their flight. They're hard to hit, and their basic attacks can also put us to sleep. I'm just gonna spoil that just in case it doesn't happen, even though at some point it probably will. So, they're a nuisance to deal with. Want to get Hans in there. More agility, of course, because that's what he does. Get him in there to start dealing with these bats. And then get wailed on. Lo's nearby, though. I shouldn't have to worry about him. Lo can get in there and heal unless the turn order screws me over again. And that will keep the bats from attacking the main group that's trying to handle all these dwarves. Let's give Hans a bit of backup. See, I can swap weapons. The spear has 3 lower attack power than the lance, but it has higher attack range, which can be useful. So you want to always have a spear and a lance armed on your knights. So you have the lance for when you're up close and personal and need to deal high amounts of damage. But then you have the spear for when you can't quite reach an enemy or when you want to position yourself differently. Perhaps you don't want to expose a character to danger or some other reason you might have to keep them further back, like keeping the space near an enemy open for a character to follow up with an attack that they otherwise wouldn't be able to because they lack the range that the spear provides. He, however, currently does not have a lance yet, so he's stuck to just using a spear. I definitely want Tao helping out with the bats. Although I also don't want her in the way of low healing, so she's gonna go after this one. Or I can have Gong heal instead, either way. Just so long as Hans doesn't get taken out, it's all good. And he's stabilized now, so it shouldn't be a problem. Really not a whole lot to add to this battle. It's just kind of the same old, nothing particularly special happens during it. It's just a generic fight. We're moving upward across the field. Dealing with a lot of the same enemies, not a whole lot of new stuff. It's not particularly threatening. I've always felt like this is just not that tough of a battle. And there's really nothing special about it either. It's just another fight. Nothing really interesting happens during it. There's no fascinating enemies. The bats are a nuisance, but it doesn't really bring anything significant to the table or threaten you in any particular way. It just is what it is. Just a straightforward fight. Move your units, attack, move your units again, attack some more. Try to make sure you don't get completely swarmed and overwhelmed by the enemies. This part, at the beginning, you kind of want to split up a little bit so you don't get surrounded. Just not really a whole lot to say here, so yeah, not really a whole lot to say here. So we're just going to kind of be going through it without much really to add as far as the commentary goes. There will definitely be more to talk about though as the story goes, especially as I get to particular points that may be tied to stories from my past, so I'll have things to discuss. There's a few instances I can think of off the top of my head that I'm sure will come up when the time is right, but that time is not yet, so we're just kind of moseying along for the time being. Blaze has now become level 2. That's excellent. It's really good to have that about now. So now, Tao, she can use more powerful magic. Which I'll demonstrate how that works once the opportunity presents itself for me to do so. Oops. I didn't want to click that guy. I wanted to click the other one and try and... oh well. It got an enemy out of the way, so that's fine. Now, I'm actually going to take a bit of a chance here and try and get this kill with Gong. If he misses, then Tao might be in trouble. But assuming he doesn't get a critical hit or a double attack or anything, I'm pretty sure she should be fine. And there's still plenty of other characters to back her up, and that's even assuming the bat decides to go for her instead of engaging somebody else in combat. And Gong does definitely need the experience points. I'm not particularly fond of how few kills my healers are getting in this run. Normally I would like them to be scoring more kills so they can get a bit more ahead in experience points, so then later on when they start falling behind it's less of an issue. But sometimes things just don't work out that well, and I just gotta do things based on what the game gives me. Just gotta roll with the punches, as it's properly referenced as. There's one kill with Lo. I got another dwarf at 1 hit point. I want to see if I can manage to give Lo that kill as well, but that will depend on the condition of my characters by the time I've got this situation under control. Hans should be able to finish this battle off and spare Tao any pain. Hans is definitely an MVP at this point in the game. He does solid damage, his range is useful, his mobility isn't the best, but he can... Well, mostly it's because of that first battle, or the second battle, really. He gets a lot of experience points, he gets to do a lot in that fight. And it really makes him shine, and he's doing good damage. Everybody's doing about the same amount of damage at this point of the game. That will change later on. There will definitely be starring characters who are much more significant and useful as we go. But right now, it's pretty balanced. Everybody feels roughly just as strong as everybody else. There's no characters that are exceptionally shining over everybody else, and each character has their uses and serves those functions well. Alright, the situation is stabilized well enough. That's a solid defensive level. Now Luke's got plenty of survivability for plowing through the enemies to come. Let's back Max up a bit. Let's try to give this kill to Lo so he can get some more experience points that are much needed right now. It's pretty standard, but good level up. A lot of his stats increased. Nothing increased exponentially. But it was nice, well-rounded. He got everything he could need out of it. So, good to see our characters growing, becoming stronger. We're definitely seeing the impact of that as these enemies that were once a threat are just nothing now. Those dwarves in particular. Let's use this just to be safe with Max after the luck we've had. And it'll also get him a level up. Good attack power, good defense, and not terrible magic points. That was a good level up. I hate when that happens, where you just have this random square in the middle of your movement range that you can't go on. And it especially happens with centaurs because of how picky they are about different types of terrain and how they can move through them. The level ups are randomized, but what's interesting about the random level ups is your final stats, to my understanding, are set in stone. Once you hit level 20, you're maxed out. You can't get any stronger, pretty much. That's essentially the maximum level in this game is 20. So let's say Max has 30 hit points at level 20. Every single time he reaches level 20, he will always have 30 hit points. But how he gets to 30 hit points throughout the game will be randomized. And because of that, sometimes you might get bad level ups with certain stats, sometimes you might get good level ups with certain stats, but it will eventually balance out. So like if you have a character who needs a lot of attack power, or will reach a lot of attack power by level 20, let's say they go a few levels without gaining any extra strength. That means that eventually it will be made up for. They might suddenly get a level up where their attack power might increase by staggering like 5 or 6 points because it needs to make up for lost ground pretty much. So if you keep having bad level ups with characters, eventually it'll bounce back out. Or if you have a really awesome level early on, that might mean that your next few levels might not be particularly good, especially if they gain a massive amount of stats in a level, or a massive amount of points in a stats that they might not have a particularly high maximum for. So the game has an interesting way of randomizing stats because, yeah, they're randomized when you level up, but they have an ultimate end goal that's preset. So it's just a matter of the stats being randomized while reaching that goal. I'm not too thrilled about those Rune Knights moving in. The enemies are kind of trapping me in a pincer maneuver of sorts. Especially because they keep getting turns, and now Tao's in trouble. She's gonna get a big hit from that. Every time somebody dies, it's because of something like that. Well, except for Max's first death, but even that was kind of similar because it was due to enemies getting a crazy turn order. And losing Tau like that was bad. Especially because I just learned Blaze level 2. That has an area of effect so it can hit multiple enemies, and that would have been extremely useful for dealing with all of these enemies that are swarming me. I'm really gonna have to hope that my accuracy holds out with these bats now after losing Tau like that. Why do I keep losing characters? It's not supposed to be this way. This is an easy game from start to finish, especially with how much I've played it. It's blowing my mind that things are going so poorly. I cannot even recall the last time I've lost anybody, period. In this battle, in the first battle, it's had to have been over a decade or more since the last time I played this game. And I play this game fairly regularly. And it has to have been 10, 15 years since the last time I lost anybody for any reason in the first, I'd have to say, 4 battles of the game. Yet I'm on the 3rd battle, and not only has Max died twice, but I've suffered a total of 4 casualties. I've had more casualties than battles I've cleared. For whatever reason, the Cosmos are just like, you must suck at this game right now. It's something. And now Max is asleep. Something about the sleep status effect I did not know until years later. I read this online a while back. But supposedly, according to what I saw on the internet, the sleep status makes it so you cannot avoid attacks. So not only are you inactive for a couple turns, but while you're asleep, all attacks are guaranteed to hit. So now not only is Max powerless to do anything and help deal with these enemies, but now he's also defenseless to any other attacks that the enemies might throw at him, which is a problem because I'm kind of out of healing. So everyone's really just gonna have to buckle down and come through for us in this situation and deal with this problem. At least one of them is staying back. And because the Rune Knights are centaurs, they just like...
How could this day get any worse?
They, just like Ken and May, cannot move very well through certain types of terrain, so they're also being held back by the forests and mountains and stuff like that. At least I'm hitting the bats. That's like the one bit of good luck that's going on right now, because my god, this is the worst run ever. But usually, flying enemies are a lot more evasive than that. Usually you can attack them, sometimes 3 or 4 times in a row and miss every single time. So I am glad that, at the very least, despite all the problems I'm facing with this, at least the bats are going down easy. So I at least have that bit of fortune on my side. Good, I was actually really hoping he would get some defense with that level up. Gotta get in the way, protect Max, make sure these guys can't get to him in any way. With the luck I've been having, who knows what'll happen if they get near him. At the same time, though, I don't want to exclude him from the combat because he needs to level up, especially being the leader. He needs survivability, and just... See, now that death I can accept. It sucks, but I can accept it, especially because it at least kept the enemies away from going after Max, which would have been far more devastating. And also, it was because of my decision to put her there and engage the enemy the way I did. So that death was my fault. Not the fault of double attacks, or critical hits, or whatever other nonsense the game is gonna keep throwing at me to keep killing off my characters. Ken is the champion of hit points. That is by far his strongest thing, and that makes him good against magic users. Because with magic not being influenced by stats at all, it just does a raw amount of damage. Having all those hit points makes him really good against magic, whereas other tanky characters may have a lot of defense, but poor hit points to kind of balance them out a bit, so they'll be really good at taking hits from physical attacks, but not so much from magic because they won't have the hit points to withstand spell attacks. Whereas Ken is kind of the opposite. He gets a lot of hit points to endure magic, but his defense stat never really gets up there. So when he gets hit physically, especially later on, he'll be hit hard. So he kind of will be really depending on those hit points to survive. Okay, he's going for Gong. This is a risk I'm taking, trying to feed this guy to my healers. I was worried that he would take Luke out, but that won't result in in losing the battle, so I just wanted to take I felt like it was a risk worth taking to get Gong and or Lo some more experience points. Another solid level for Gong. Things are excellent. Kane will have to do better than that to stop you. On to Alterone. Or however it's supposed to be pronounced. And with the third battle down, we got 2 battles done in this episode, so that's kind of exciting. Things are going terribly, but we're at least making progress. With that said, we're gonna call it here. As, like with the previous episode, this one's running kind of long because it's an RPG. The episodes are gonna be longer, otherwise this series would take forever. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Watch my other videos. And as I said in the last episode, if you're enjoying this playthrough and want to see more Shining Force, a friend of mine a couple years ago played through the Game Boy Advance remake of this very title. So if you want to see more Shining Force and also help out a friend of mine, be sure to check that out as well. With that, I'll see you next time! My friends keep dying. So we've got this new battle and some new enemies. We've got the mages and archers to deal with. I have a story that goes with that dialogue. Well, it wasn't totally wiped out. Treasures! Push this cart into this girl. And I don't even need widescreen to do it. I'm just having a lot of luck this run. That's not the case. But this is how I'm going to approach it. I'm gonna rob this shop where there will be more people to talk to and more treasure chests to be stolen. I just lost my train of thought.